wow, this is a I love. Okay, well, this is spoiler free, right?
Yeah, this part. Yeah, yeah. So just general.
Okay, okay. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is just, when you usually see like a biopic like this, you're like, oh, there's no way the actual person's going to be a part of this, right?
Mm,
But I think right off the bat, within like 30 minutes, you're like, whoa, what the heck? Like, Weird Al is actually in the movie.
that's so cool.
He's, playing against type. Well, obviously, he's playing on
Yeah.
the other side of what he is himself. Um, so I mean, for me, that was like, the big reveal there. But I mean, the whole movie is just like it's just a ride, right?
Yeah.
It's just like from beginning to end. It's like this in your face, like no dead time. It's just really on the go all the time.
And I have to look at it
What
again.
do you
I
think?
believe it's almost like exactly like 90 minutes, right? Like it's just like there's no fluff because I think a lot of movies tend to like I don't know go especially comedies. I kind of don't like very few comedies can go past 90 minutes because then it just starts to get a
Hmm.
little stale. And when I first heard about this, I was like, there's only one way you can do it, and it would have to be a parody of biopics. Like
Hmm.
there's no way you'd be able to do just like a straight like it'd be weird if you did a Weird Al movie and it was like actual like serious like that would be very strange.
That
I
would be
think.
strange, but I actually want to see that too, though. I feel like that could be done, and that would be like I think even funnier in some ways, because it's gonna be like The Room or something, where it's like it's him trying to be serious, and you're like,
Yeah.
there's no way this is what happened, but so I don't know. I would have to say I would kind of be curious about how he would do that. But you're right. This is like it reminded me of like Walk the Line, or is that what it's called?
Yeah.
The one with
Walk Hard.
Walk Hard,
Yeah.
right? The one with John C. Riley
Yeah.
and Jenna Fisher, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. It's kind of like remind me of that like fake parody of real parodies. I mean, real biographies or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Um, but no, no, go ahead. It's just like nonstop, and I love how it is comedic, but at the same time, it's not afraid to like be something else, like its own, like a different into a different genre, like action for something, like that.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
dude. I was surprised by that part. I didn't think it was gonna go to that crazy extreme.
Hmm.
Because it does genre jump. Because it's like different types of biopics and even just different types of genres of movies at
Hmm.
different points. And I really like that. I think that kept it like on your seats and you didn't know what to expect.
Hmm. Hmm. I mean, that and the cameos. I think like just talking about Weird Al himself, also, obviously, but there's so many like Rainn Wilson.
Yeah.
Being I think his name was it Dr. Death? Is that what his name was, or
Dr.
Doctor
Memento or
Memento,
Miss
something
yeah,
like that,
Memento, something
right?
like that. Yeah. I
Yeah,
should have
he
it
was
here.
in it. Um,
Demento.
the one that really got me was Evan Rachel Wood. I think that's her name. She played Madonna,
The whole
and
Madonna arc was so because you see her in the trailer, but it actually plays a really big role in the movie,
hmm,
which you don't
hmm,
expect.
and I don't know if you're familiar with her as an actress, but she does like a lot of serious roles. Like she's from Westworld, like a big HBO hit on there,
Oh,
and
really? I saw the first. I think I saw the first couple episodes. I don't think I saw the whole thing though.
well, I mean, it's just a serious like drama in
Yeah.
itself, It's not really like comedic. So for me to see her in this, it's just like I'm like, oh, she can, play in these type of movies, and I love that she's just, putting 100% in it, and she's not like, like half-assing it like somebody else would do or something like that.
Yeah.
So and that's everybody too, though. Everybody was on it. I love like the party scene when they're like all the swimming pool, like they're all around there, and like see Pee Wee and Jack Black shows up, and
All
I
his
think
different
somebody was
characters.
Dolly. I forget who the actor was that played Dolly. I know
Yeah.
Conan O'Brien was in it. I think
Yeah,
he
he
was
was Andy Warhol.
Andy Warhol. That's right.
Yeah.
It was perfect. Um, no, I love that. I love that. So I think that added to the craziness of the movie.
Well, let's actually get into a little deeper there. Since you're
Yeah.
bringing that up, I think to your point, I think them playing it straight sells the comedy even more because
Hmm.
it's a biopic that's a parody, but everyone's taking it like this is a real biopic. Like this is like a
Hmm.
almost a serious movie. They're not treating it like a comedy for the
Hmm.
most part. I mean, there's obviously scenes where it's obviously comedic and stuff like that, but I love that. I love how they're doing that. Like for me, one of the scenes that really well, first it was in the beginning, just small, like the writing was done really well. When he's
Hmm.
playing for the punk band and they're like,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
we'll get back to you. And he's like, when? And they're like, Now you didn't get the part.
I know.
I was cracking up. It was just the way it's set up. I was like, oh, that's perfect.
I know, because like in a real movie, it would like take time, like they'll
Yeah.
juxtapose that and like drag it out. But it's like no, it's like right in your face, like no,
It's like, you didn't get it.
play
No.
plays into the comedy. And yeah, there were a lot of moments like that too, where I was like, oh my god, you just didn't expect that, it's like right there. Which is, you think about like comedy nowadays, and you kind of like alluded to it. It's hard to do comedies. It's changed so much, and I think for someone like Weird Al, it just reminds me of like a traditional like slappy like you know kind of like an Abbott and Costello type of comedy. You know what I mean? Where it's not like too gratuitous, but
Yeah.
it's just like right there. It's anybody can get it. You don't have to be like like some historic major or something like that to get it. Like or some political major.
Right after I saw it, I literally thought, I was like, I haven't seen a comedy like this in years. It's just a straight comedy. Like that's all it
Hmm.
is. It doesn't have any ulterior message or anything like that. It's just spoofing and parodying biopics
Hmm.
and Weird Al's life. Because I think there's a few things that are actually real in there. Because I was reading up on it. He actually did record stuff in like a bus station bathroom.
Oh,
That part's
okay.
actually real. I was like, what? But like for the most part, it's just like he's completely flipping his own image, right? Because all the things
Hmm.
he's not known for, it's like that's what the character is. And I think that works really well in this. But even just like I love the way the parody works with the biopics themselves. Because
Hmm.
even there's this whole story arc of him like having problems with his parents, specifically his dad, right? And it
Oh
follows
yeah,
that same
yeah.
trope that you see in different like dramas or biopics where like eventually they reconcile, right?
Hmm.
At the very end. But then he also has one with Dr. Demento where he's almost like a father figure to him. And by the end of it, he's like, I want to adopt you. I want to be your real father. And he's like, oh, I already made up with my father. He's like,
Right,
oh.
right. Like
Dude, that part had me like
we're done.
cracking up
Yeah.
the entire time. Just the whole delivery of it was just like, oh well, no, that's no longer a thing. Like, oh, okay.
No, but that's what it is, though. I think that's exactly why it's successful and it worked because it's just like it's that type of comedy you don't see it nowadays.
Yeah,
This was PG-13 or was it rated R? You know?
well, actually, I have no idea. It's probably like not rated because it's on Roku.
Oh yeah, shout out to Roku.
Shout
Thank
out
you
to
for
Roku.
making us watch this for free on top of that, which is really cool. I think.
Did you get? So I've been hearing that people get a ton of ads. I didn't get any ads when I saw it.
No, I don't think I did. Now,
Yeah,
come to
like
think of it, no.
because people are like, oh yeah, there's just a ton of ads on Roku TV. I was like, I didn't get any single ads. I saw just the whole thing.
No,
And
I think it.
I have a like a free account. I just saw it on the web browser.
Yeah, same here. So I don't know. Maybe they're just like living in like a third world country or something. They're just like they just sell to these guys. Get a little
We're like,
extra. Yeah, it's free, but maybe not for these people.
not for these. We're like, screw them. Because I was like, maybe only on opening night it's free. I don't know.
That too could be. But
Yeah.
I mean, either way though, I love that it was free. Um, good film. Yeah, didn't drag on, just straight to the point. 90 minutes, which good time for a comedy.
And
It's.
dude, the fight scene in the diner, to your earlier point, I did
Mm-hmm.
not expect that. And it was actually pretty decent. Like it was like it turned into an actual decent like action scene, not just like a over the top parody.
Right, and on top of that, it's Daniel Radcliffe doing that. We haven't even talked about the actor himself
That's
doing it.
right.
And the entire time in the back of my head, I'm like, whoa, this is like Harry Potter. This is the guy we've seen from a kid growing up to be a man, and like he's ripped.
Yeah.
In this movie, he's actually like committed because
He's
like
literally ripped. Like he definitely worked out for this.
Weird Al definitely was in physical shape at one point in the '80s, I think, right?
No, I think he's making fun of himself, right?
Well, I saw some of the scenes at the end. I mean, he wasn't like jacked, but he was like, a little like somewhat little physique. But no, yeah, you're right though. I see what you're saying though.
Yeah.
But no, I just think it's hilarious that it's Daniel Radcliffe being this action star, which in reality I don't think it will ever happen. Like you're never gonna see him in like a Marvel movie or like you know what
He
I mean? Like these Lee type roles where he's like the hero saving the day. Not like
he
not like the alpha guy, you know what I mean? Like
the closest I think I've ever seen him. Did you ever see Guns Akimbo?
no, I haven't
It's
seen
the
that.
one where he has like two guns kind of like screwed into his hands and he can't like they literally put guns on his hands.
Okay,
It's
okay.
like this really over the top action scene. It was okay. The action was insane though. Like a lot of
Mhm.
the action stuff was a lot of fun there. That's the closest I've ever seen him to like an action star. And even then
Mhm.
it was his he definitely wasn't ripped or anything like that, but
And there's like a gimmick to it because he's
Yeah,
got guns in his
exactly,
hands. So
exactly.
it's kind of like maybe like Crank, but even then, Crank has got Jason Statham,
Who's like
who
definitely a
is,
lead
y-
action star. Yeah,
yeah. And I mean, come on, women want to be with him, guys want to hang out with him.
yeah.
Not saying people don't want to do that with Daniel Radcliffe, but it's different. You know, we want to go to like a Dungeon and Dragons game with Radcliffe,
I want to
and
see
we
him
want
with a horse. I want to see him. That's what I want to see.
to a horse. Right, right, exactly.
Yeah.
We won't go into that. Yeah,
I've seen the actual play, by the way.
with him.
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay, okay.
It
I was
was a
gonna say,
local production, and it's the fact that he did
uh,
that lead role. I was like, oh my god, because it's full frontal nudity.
why don't you just tell the audience what the name of this play is?
Equus.
Equus. There you go.
Equus.
Equus. What
That
a
was. I saw it on Valentine's Day. I was in the theater alone, and I saw Equus. That was something.
as you do. I mean, that's what you want to do for Valentine's Day.
Yeah, see
Definitely.
a horse love story is what you want to see.
Mm, you should definitely check out the movie Equus. Um,
Oh, that's right.
it's
They made a movie, right?
Yeah, I think it was 1970s or 1980s.
That's
It was
right.
actually well done though, but I was like, "Oh my God," that was the first time I saw it, and I was like, "What in the world is this?" But
You're like,
no,
I like this. This is good.
to go back, right. To go back to it though, yeah, Daniel Radcliffe. I'm glad he did this role though. I think he's really doing a great job of like trying to get away from this Harry Potter thing,
Yeah.
which is to his defense, it's going to be very difficult to do. You know, it's still going to be part of his career no matter what, right?
Well, did you ever see? You know what actually got me to appreciate him as like a more of an actor after Harry
Well,
Potter? Did you ever see a Young Doctor's Notebook?
no, I haven't seen that.
It takes place in Russia, like before and after the revolution in like 1917.
Oh,
And
okay.
so he's just like doctor, and so he plays the young version. John Hamm plays the older version, who's like in this
Oh,
gulag or whatever. And
hmm,
it goes, and it's a really good it's a very dark. I mean, there's some comedic. I don't know if it's a dark comedy, but it's there's a lot of comedic elements to it.
hmm.
But then it gets dark because it's like right before the revolution or right as the Russian Revolution's happening, and he's this
Oh,
doctor, and I was like, damn, he can like legit act. He's actually beyond just like being a little wizard.
no, he's definitely a solid actor, and I think out of the three actors in Harry Potter, I think he was actually the one that I could see like, oh, he's progressively getting better,
Yeah.
or at least from the get-go, he was somewhat a little bit solid and had some experience. I mean, I'm not trying to hate on Emma Watson fans, but he was like, "Ugh, it's kind of she could have said the line a little better." But no, I think out of the three, he's definitely the best actor.
Well, he's
And
purposely taken on like unusual roles. Like, I mean, he's doing that on
right,
purpose, which is
hmm,
great. I always admire that.
yes, yes. No, I like it. I like how he's pushing himself. And another one is a Swiss Army Man, I think it's called. He did it with Paul Dano, and I think it's like set on about like them being on an island, and
And he's
uh,
dead,
Paul
right?
Paul Dano, yeah, finds his body and he's dead, and I think he's the only one that can see him talking or something. I don't want to go too much into the
Yeah,
details,
I
but
haven't seen it. That's on my list.
it's a really dark comedy, I guess. But
Yeah.
it's good though. I liked it.
Nice.
But so yeah, go ahead. I mean, what's the
To bring it back to Weird Al, I mean, so I loved it. I thought it was great. I haven't seen before this. It had been years since I've seen a mainstream comedy like released,
hmm,
because you have some indie films or something like that, but like an actual mainstream movie that's just a comedy. I
hmm,
can't even think of the last one like that. I mean, I'm thinking like The Hangover or something like that, like
yeah,
just a comedy.
right,
I can't think of any like after that.
yeah, because everything after that, it's just usually like it's kind of like a hybrid thing. Like they'll do like a
Yeah,
dark comedy, like Get Out or something like that.
yeah.
But a straight comedy, it's hard to do because of the culture that exists today about everyone being very sensitive, and
I'm
you
very
know
sensitive, so
people just comedy is like subjective now, like way more so now, so it's hard to like appeal to every audience now,
but I
unfortunately.
think that's the thing, though. I think that's where people fail. I don't think people should appeal to every audience because I think the Weird
Right.
Al movie. You made a really good post, and we'll get into it in one of the reviews because I kind of saw what you mentioned before. Um, that it definitely gets weird, and I can see like if you don't have a certain sense of humor, like there are some parts that you just might not enjoy. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Or it might
Yeah, it's
just
got
not
like that,
be.
like you said, like the deadpan, like
Yep.
no, like that. I think that type of comedy is like people won't get it. They're like, wait, was that supposed to be funny? Like,
Right.
they usually expect like a laugh track or something, and they're
To
like
guide
when they
them.
actually, right, exactly, to hold their hand. I'm not saying they're idiots. I'm just saying like
It's a
it's
different
just
type of comedy.
they don't see it. They're a little oblivious to it, and it's totally different.
They're not as
Okay,
smart as
maybe
us,
they are.
dude. That's what we're saying.
Yeah, okay, maybe they are
They're not
idiots.
as smart. That's what it is.
Okay.
Says the guy wearing a Hawaiian shirt. You're not as smart as me.
And a Blockbuster hoodie.
Um, but even just like the setups, like when he's calling his parents and he's trying to tell them like he's a huge success now, and they don't even really acknowledge it,
Mhm,
and like it's
mhm.
all like just terrible. And then what's his name? Rainn Wilson's in his bathtub right there, and he's like, "You can go to the other bath." He's like, "No, no, I'm fine here. This is fine."
And yeah, I love how they filmed those scenes because in the back of my head, and I don't know if you felt this, but I was like, oh, they're gonna do a reveal where like maybe Rainn Wilson isn't real or something. Because I kept thinking like it's a
Oh,
part of his imagination, but
right.
I think that even makes it funnier that he's actually there. When so I'm like, oh, so he is real. Like
Yeah, like
people
this is all
can see
actually
him.
happening. Or even, dude, I love the setup because I do like, even though they're spoofing biopics, they'll keep like doing a 180 on them. Like when they're at that party, at that pool party, and then
Mhm.
what's his name from Queen is there. I like first of all, I like that whole joke. It's
Oh
not the
yeah,
lead, it's not Freddie Mercury, it's like the
right.
bassist or whatever.
Brian May or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then like they had that whole thing, and he's like, I was wrong, and I want you to join us at Live Aid. And he's like, no, I'm
Yeah,
not gonna do that. Why would I?
yeah. That's stupid. Why would I do that?
That was so fucking awesome. I loved that.
Apparently, I was reading something on IMDb about it, like trivia, and they had asked if Freddie Mercury could do that line as opposed to Brian May, but
Oh, like
Queen
they
was
would
like,
get someone
"No."
to dress up as Freddie
Yeah,
Mercury.
and they were like, "No." They denied it, but it kind of made sense that Brian May was there because he actually wrote the song that he parodied
Oh, that
and
was
everything.
actually what was it? Fuck, what was the name of that song? Bites the
Whoa,
Dust.
easy with the Fs. All right, this is a PG stream
This is a
here.
PG show.
Yeah, no,
With the fudge.
we should have like a counter every time you who curses the most. No, but yeah, that's exactly what it was. Another one bites the dust, right?
Ah, okay. I didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
Mhm. Mhm.
Nice.
But no, I liked it. It was fun. Daniel Radcliffe, Evan Rachel Wood. Who else was in it? I mean, I'm trying to think.
Well, there's a ton of cameos though. But like
Yeah.
leads. I always think of his father. So the guy who plays the father first,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. What's his
I
name?
always
He's a great actor too, man. He's like
and
one of
he's
those
done
guys
so
that just
many things. And he always does a bunch of I guess he's a character actor. But you know what I always remember him from?
Seinfeld.
Yeah,
I'm
nobody
the
beats the
Wiz.
Wiz. Because at first I thought he looked like Frank Sinatra, right? Because he has like the
Right.
eyes and everything. But then he did that, and I was like, I always remember him for that. Nobody beats the Wiz. I'm the Wiz.
Yeah, he's just the character. Like you said, he's a character actor. He's in everything.
And he's great.
I
He
wish.
plays the domineering father really well.
Yeah, because he's got that face. He's got like
Yeah.
that little like southern type of aggressive
Like
vibe to
tough
him.
guy. Yeah.
But it could also be soft and, kind and cool,
And
which we've
comedic.
seen. Yeah, exactly, and very comedic as obviously as we know.
By the way, I expected him because they set it up. Like I expected him to be an accordion player. I did not expect the whole like Amish Paradise backstory. That to me was one of the
Oh,
best things.
oh man, and since you brought that up, wow, like I didn't think they were gonna do that, but I completely forgot that Weird Al parodied "Gangster's Paradise."
Didn't it become more popular than Coolio's song? I remember
Yeah,
there was something about that.
and Coolio hated it.
But then they
So,
got him in it at the end.
but they got him in it. But I'm bringing it up because he recently passed away.
Yeah, dude, I didn't realize that until I saw this. Because then I
Hmm.
looked some stuff up. I was like, oh shit, Coolio's gone.
He passed away, and also near the end credits when they're doing like the whole montage of him with like all these celebrities, it was him and hugging the Queen, which
Right.
apparently when they showcased this for the first time, like to a live audience, that was the day she died, and they were worried about like a lot of backlash
Yeah.
happening, but luckily everyone was cool, and it was like more
Yeah.
of like, oh, endearing, and they loved it.
Yeah, because it's just showing it's supposed to show how popular he was or how popular he
Hmm.
is. Dude,
Hmm.
I also like the ending, the way it ends.
Yeah. Oh my God. I know. The assassination.
Yeah.
Jesus. So
Dude, that was
brutal.
perfect. I did not
Um,
expect that. I was like, what?
Yeah, that and plus like I guess the second after credits where like I think Madonna's going to the cemetery
Oh yeah,
and she's laying the flowers, clearly an homage to Carrie the
Harry.
movie.
Yep,
And it's I love that. It's
that
just
was
great. I
great.
mean, again, doing different types of themes. That one's like a horror one.
Yeah.
So this movie's got every type of genre in it. So definitely watch it for that reason.
I think it's a high recommend. I think it's one of the best comedies in a long time. Probably one of the best comedies I've seen this year. The only thing that comes close for me is
Hmm.
I saw the Spanish film Official Competition.
Hmm.
So, and that's with Antonio Banderas and oh my god, Penelope Cruz.
Oh, okay, okay.
Um,
Did Pedro Aldomar make this? Was that
I
did he
forget.
make that movie?
Maybe I forget though. I
It
forget.
sounds like he would though. But go ahead.
Yeah, because it's a parody on like making on like the Hollywood movie system. It's a whole parody on that,
Oh,
and
okay.
so it's definitely a dark comedy,
Hmm.
and it makes some pretty crazy statements about like actors and directors and all that. But that's the only other I would say like comedy released this year,
Yeah.
and even that one's like a dark comedy. I wouldn't say it's a straight comedy.
Yeah, comedy's dead, man. I think you and I have talked about this, before. It's sad, we just don't see it as much, and it's just more of like the superhero genre and romantic comedies and like Pixar movies and whatever's in trend.
I think it'll make a comeback. I think it's going to be making a comeback. I think you're going to start seeing some more like independent films take much crazier approaches and like
Hmm.
do it, and then you're gonna start seeing it's gonna take a couple years before like you see way more mainstream ones like we used to, because you used to
Hmm.
have like comedies all the time, like especially in the summer, like you would have just a bunch of comedies come out.
Yeah.
um,
Well, again, I mean, and I don't want to go into deep conversations with it, but it's just a different culture. We know why. Maybe the audience doesn't know, but
we know.
they're sensitive.
Well, on that note, I want to read the first review. I always like to start
Oh yeah,
like
yeah.
I have one that I saw, I was like, ugh, and then another one that I think is pretty good.
All right. Let's do this.
So let me see if I can share here. Make sure I don't share something inappropriate.
Fido's using a very old Alta Vista demo,
Yeah,
so I'm
exactly. I'm
looking
like,
forward to it.
is
It's
this
gonna look like a
running?
geosite. Yeah.
It says it says it runs on Windows 95 and higher. So we'll
Oh
see.
yeah, there we go. That's
Can
always
you
the
see
best
it?
here. Yes, I can.
Perfect.
Nice.
So this is from Matt Pace. I don't know who this guy is, but I found that it was on Rotten Tomatoes. And so I saw this. Weird takes the Y out of Yankovic. And let me just read this first paragraph.
Yeah, yeah.
At a time when people were very much not embracing all things nerdy and or corny, an accordion player named Al Yankovic carved out a massively successful place in the mainstream music industry by parodying existing popular songs. That is a plenty-worthy narrative for a legitimate biopic, exploring not just the outsider of all outsiders, how the outsider of all outsiders managed to do this, but what it says about American culture, that it worked then and remains beloved now, when Yankovic's good natured silliness is anything but common in an often horrifying landscape. So you kind of touched on this part. I get that. Like a straight biopic would be interesting. That's fine, but the
Hmm.
tone he sets here for the review, I was just like, I don't know. Like, where is this going? I already got feelings of like, I
It's
don't
going
know.
downhill.
Yeah. Yeah. Because then it
So
goes into no one, however, seems to have informed the artist himself of this, co-writing his own absurd, deliberately inaccurate biopic as if far superior efforts like Pop Star and Walk Hard never existed. Yankovic, played as an adult by Daniel Radcliffe, turns his career into an outlandish, improbable lark whose unlikeliness shines no light on the fact that the very basics, accordion player becomes famous for parody songs, really happen, and very much overdoes it on the things that didn't. Goofball falls into torrid affair with one of the 80s biggest pop stars
Mhm.
and does violent battle with the drug cartel. That isn't to say that Weird, the Al Yankovic story, directed and co-written by Eric Appel,
Mm. Mhm.
doesn't have a decent number of laughs. Weird is a pretty funny movie that completely undermines its reason for existing. I was just
Wow, what a jerk.
like this whole thing. It's just like
Matt Pace, you're a buffoon.
I did not like it. I was like, I think you missed the whole point
Right.
of this. Like, I don't know,
It's not
man.
serious. It's not supposed to be taken seriously. And you're supposed to have a fun time imagining like this alter version of his life. That's the whole point of the movie.
And the
It's
fact,
not we don't need to dissect this like, oh my god, this isn't real, this isn't
exactly.
accurate, It's got to be like these other movies, and stop comparing it to other things. I mean, yeah, I get that, but it's its own thing. It's its own spin on it.
And 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 so and that's fair. If you didn't want to watch comedy, that's fine. But I don't agree where he says, I haven't seen Popstar, but Walk Hard, I think this is funnier than Walk Hard. I'd have to rewatch Walk Hard again. And I liked Walk Hard, don't get me wrong.
Hmm.
But I think I enjoyed this more. Um,
It's been a while since I've seen that one.
and I was like, come on, get over yourself. Like this was just like, I don't know, man. It's don't
If it
judge it for the movie you wanted, judge it for what's actually there. Like I kind of hate that.
Hmm.
Because I do that too sometimes. Like you build up a movie in your head, right? And then you go see something and it doesn't live up to what you built up. You got to judge it for what it is, not for what you want something to be or what you imagined in your head.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It seems like this guy just had his own agenda, clearly, just like dissecting. He's a critic. I mean, that's what they do, right? Like they're supposed to like get some type of emotion out of people, whether it be positive, whether it be negative, or whatever. This guy seems to be kind of in the middle in some ways too, because I saw that he wrote like a C on it, so he didn't say like completely. He didn't completely dog it, but still, it's kind of like, dude, don't you get it? It's supposed to be a joke. It's not supposed to be like this thing that you think it's supposed to be. Um,
Yeah. I
I mean, you can definitely. I mean, and to go back to what I said, like you can have some relation to. You can't think of other movies, but it's just you got to go in fresh. You just got to be objective and accept what's going on during the screen. Just you can't just start thinking of things. You know, just let it go. Let it flow naturally.
Exactly. And I think, like I said, like you got to judge it for what it is. And I think, and this was kind of what we are talking about earlier. Maybe it's not the comedy for this guy. Like, cause
Hmm.
it's a pure comedy. And if you don't want a comedy, there's no way. I don't know. I don't know. But to be fair, I should have prefaced this. The majority of the reviews are positive, and I have a positive one here.
Okay.
It was a little hard to find one that said anything negative. And this one just, I don't know. It just rubbed me the wrong way. It's just this weird, the way he framed everything. I was like, ugh, I didn't like it at all.
Filth
Um, this is bad. But
at
like to
pace.
compare it, it's something like this is a long one, so I'm just going to do little snippets. So this one's
Yeah, yeah.
from um, Roger Ebert, and it's written by Nick Allen. So I guess I have a whole bunch of writers now, which makes
Nick
sense.
Allen. Yeah, I mean Rod Sheber's dead, so that makes sense.
Like I hope they have some other stuff. Um, but I highlighted some parts here. The
Oh yeah.
plotting of Weird, the Al Yankovic story, is its own big joke, a fevered dream by a self-deprecating entertainer looking into a funhouse mirror.
Mm-hmm.
The giddy thrill of Weird is the rollicking ways it takes to hit these points while spoofing the wholesomeness of Yankovic's image. The real Weird Al does not drink to access or take hallucinogenics or rip off his Hawaiian shirts on stage to bear a six pack. This version hilariously does, which itself is an act of preserving a humility about who Weird Al truly is. And I think that's a
Mm-hmm.
cool point. It's like the fact that Weird Al made this movie like that actually gives you a little bit more insight into who he really is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
what he's able to make fun of himself, like he's very aware of the persona he is, right? Of like
Yeah.
the things people, and so he's able to subvert that expectation. I think that's why it works so well.
Yeah, and I love that in during the movie in itself, like he kind of flipped his own style about what he does. Like he's just talking about like how other people are starting to do what he does to them. Like I think there was one scene where it was like I think I forget what artist it was, but they're like, yeah, oh no, Michael Jackson,
Michael
right?
Jackson
They're like,
would beat it. Like that was a
beat,
parody.
but he's saying like, yeah, that was the parody. I'm like, it's just funny how he brought that to attention because it's making him making fun of himself, self-deprecating, like the guy says.
Yeah.
So I love that. It's you have to be in on it. It's so I love that, and it's something that Weird Al would do. It's just style of comedy.
Well, even just like we said earlier, that he was playing like I love the fact that there's a scene where Daniel Radcliffe is playing Weird Al to Weird Al, but Weird Al is a music producer.
Right, right.
And then what's his name? His sidekick starts just making fun of Weird Al. He's like, "No one likes you. No one takes you seriously, and
Right.
you look terrible." He's like, "Well, let's
Yeah, exactly.
take it
Yeah,
easy a little."
that reminded me of you saw Weird Al UHF, the one that came out
Oh
in
yeah,
1980s.
yeah, it's a great
It
one.
reminded me of some of the characters in that movie too. I don't know if you remember that, but there was like a side character like next to a boss character that was like kind of doing the same thing. I thought it was
At
really
the
cool.
station, like the people who own the main station, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
The guy was
yeah.
like the son, and he was just like, "Yes, yes, I agree with you. He's a punk or whatever." Just this complete idiot. So I feel like that was kind of like a reference to UHF
That he brought
um,
into that. By the
that he
way,
brought into that.
did you know that this was a skit before, like 10 years ago, and Aaron Paul played Weird Al?
Really, really
Yeah,
on Funny or Die
yeah,
or
yeah. On
like
Funny or Die.
okay,
So I
okay.
didn't know until because I was just looking for reviews, and then the skit popped up. I was like, "What?" And it was really good. It's pretty much what this movie is, but just in like 5 minutes. It's just like a trailer for it. Um,
Okay.
I was like,
And
"Oh, that's
Aaron
pretty
Paul,
cool."
I mean, he could definitely pull it off.
He
He's
did.
another weird guy.
He did a really good job as a Weird Al. But yeah,
No, I gotta see that.
yeah, this was a good review here, and
So it's good. You like it.
this was good. It even goes into
Sound
like
effect.
Radcliffe. Yeah, I know. I have to figure out how to do the soundboard. I don't know how to do it, but it goes into Radcliffe's performance. I mean, he completes what makes his parody of Yankovic's clean-cut image so funny. The vivid innocence that soon turns into a brash arrogance fueled by the desire to prove himself to his parents and the world. And Radcliffe does such a good job of like becoming a jerk and like doing all these terrible things and like the way he turns on his band and everything. I think it's done really well.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely honing back to those old rock and roll biopics where you always see the same thing happening over and over again. And it's just the fact that it's Weird Al, who I can't even imagine him
Ever
even
doing
being a
any of
jerk,
those things.
being
Yeah.
rude to any fan at all. To be like that, it's just unimaginable. It's just so that's just makes it funnier to see it on screen. But
But yeah,
yeah,
so most of the reviews are good like that. So I would say like
okay.
that's a good one. I like that one. The one before, I mean, just the way he framed it just rubbed me the wrong way. And I was just like in the beginning, I was ugh, I don't know.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not gonna be for everybody. You know, comedy's different. It's changing. It's changed. It's gonna hopefully goes back like to what you were saying earlier. But I don't know. For right now, I just think it's a little divided. Maybe more than little. But
And I think the big problem we have is society.
Open up a package of my banana.